We are glad to have you back. Now we are joined by Barrister Joseph Gbagyo. He is the NBA Secretary, Makode branch. Many thanks for joining us at the news at this time.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me.
So, what's your take on the Supreme Court judgment where all 7 justices upheld the appellate court decision to reaffirm President Bola Tinubu's victory at the polls?
Well, the judgment today has finally put to rest the second phase of our electoral process in the country. And I think the justices of the Supreme Court did this following the appeals that came from the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal. And I think, on a whole, we can say that what started from February 25th of 2023 ended today, 26th of October 2023, putting an end to the electoral dispute between President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and the opposition candidates, Atiku Abubakar and Peter Obi. I think, like I said, it's just the end to the road of the electoral process from what started from February 25th, as the Supreme Court has finally brought that to an end today.
Okay, now how would you react to the final verdict that is on the issues of alleged fake certificates and 25% votes in the FCT to win the presidential election?
Well, the Supreme Court, in their various judgments or various pronouncements, has made it clear that parties coming to the court must play the game with the card facing upward. And by that, you are supposed to provide and bring before the court the evidence you intend to rely on. And again, the Supreme Court and the various courts, the Court of Appeal and the Supreme Court, and in many instances said you cannot introduce fresh matters on appeal. And I think that is the position the Supreme Court maintained in this case by not allowing the issue of the Chicago State University certificate and the alleged forgery to be introduced on appeal as fresh matters. I think this is a more or less elementary legal principles any legal mind knows, and I think it's in that direction that the Supreme Court maintained their position that look, this thing was not introduced at the court of first instance, that is at the lower court, and you cannot introduce it at the appeal. And the Supreme Court maintained that ground, and they stood to read. Your second question on the
Yes, on the
25%
25% vote, including the Federal Capital Territory.
yes, yeah, this is also a very clear issue in my own opinion, because Section 134 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, which gives criteria or which has handed down the guidelines or the requirement or the processes in which a person can emerge as the president of this country is very clear. And if you have the majority votes and all of the votes across the states of the country, including the Federal Capital Territory, what Section 134 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 has amended has not done is to confer special status on Abuja. And that is what the Supreme Court said. And the Supreme Court has maintained that position again. And but is the law? The beauty of the law is that it keeps developing, and maybe one day the Supreme Court may shift their position from this, or perhaps the National Assembly can begin to look into amending that provision to see whether they will confer special status on Abuja or not. But for now, Abuja does not enjoy special status. It's just like any other states. And that is the wordings of the Constitution. And I think that is what the Supreme Court maintained.
Okay, and let's talk about INEC for a bit. The Supreme Court says the Electoral Commission cannot be faulted on grounds of law as it has discretion to apply its rules. Now, what do you think, particularly as INEC conducts elections in Imo, Bayelsa and Kogi in just next month?
Well, the Supreme Court cannot afford to make new laws for INEC because INEC is governed by the Electoral Amendment Act of 2022, and it also gives them the power. The Act gives them the power to make their own rules as far as electoral procedures is concerned. And what Supreme Court said is that, look, we cannot force INEC. We cannot force INEC to go outside their own rules. Perhaps maybe because they want to appeal or appeal to the conscience of anybody. But it's very clear if there are procedures, and those are the procedures INEC has followed in conducting the election and in also announcing the presidential election. The Supreme Court could not have afforded to tinker with that. And I think that is the position they maintain. They are not saying that where INEC has gone wrong in terms of going contrary to the law, they cannot be corrected. But in this case, if we have not seen any reason why we should tinker or we should wade into what INEC has done, then let that status quo be maintained and let INEC enjoy their independent status or their unbiased status in conducting election. And I think that is the position, and the Supreme Court solidly maintained that ground. But of course, in one way or the other, people have made a lot of, there has been a lot of analysis in the media domain over this issue. But when it comes to law, it's as it is. It's not law cannot be read in isolation, because it has to be interpreted based on what is written down and based on what INEC has seen, the Supreme Court has seen, and based on what is presented before the court. And I think that is the clear position which INEC, the Supreme Court took.
All right, we thank you so much for sharing your opinion with us on the news at this time.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Pleasure.
And that was Barrister Joseph Gbagyo, NBA Secretary, Makurdi Branch.